Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight during this Q&A session. Before we get started, though, I want to ask Ms. Carbell to lead us in prayer and ask that everyone stand for the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that we all come together tonight in unity and prayers that all the things that we need to do will be handled in a businesslike manner and professional, that we lift up your word, that we remember who we are and where we are, and that we always act in good faith with good intentions and a clear heart. We ask all of this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'll have the council with comments here briefly. Just want to say the importance of this meeting and the importance of how our city and EDC need to work together to provide a prosperous future for this community. I think it's highly important, and I think we're taking the proper steps going forward to improve our relations and improve this city. At this time, I open the floor to any council members for comment.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. It's nice to see everybody's concerned and wants to better Mount Pleasant. And this council as a whole, that's our goal. And, you know, a lot of small businesses around here, and they want people shopping. They want people coming in, and we need the sales tax. And so if we develop more, if we have more businesses come in, more industry, then I think we can probably help everybody in town. So I know for a fact, we've talked about it, we're all unified, and it's our goal is to try to think better, and we really want to work hand in hand with the EDC and improve Mount Pleasant for everyone.
It's on? All right, good. I'll say when I ran for city council, I had a few things that I was focused on. One was transparency, which I think is the big goal here today, just based on, you know, public response and reaction and concern on how well the city works with the EDC. In addition to that, I do follow what Carl is saying. I mean, we have small businesses, you know, that need support. A lot of those are service businesses. To have the dollars fluctuate and come in, you need larger industry, and that's the biggest focus of the EDC is bringing in those middle-class jobs, those manufacturing jobs, those jobs that were here before, that we're trying to bring back in a different light. So again, I do appreciate everyone else being here today as well, and I'm looking forward to a positive conversation and path forward.
Go ahead. Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to say that looking at the present and the future of our city, every day it hits home how much has been done already and how much there is still left to do. I've seen what was, and now I'm experiencing what can be. What we can achieve if we work together for the good of our city and our community. I've seen lots of Band-Aids applied lately, a lot of hard work, a lot of voluntary hours put in by people who only have the best interest of our city and community at heart. Many of us are spending hours and hours attending meetings, participating, trying to bring our counterparts together in a productive and effective way for all of our city to prosper and grow together. We've been working closely with the EDC lately. I've been attending meetings. I see nothing but positive things that can come from it. And my goal is to continue, just like this council, in fixing everything that needed to be fixed, mending everything, creating better working relationships for everyone so that everyone in the city and the county understands We're all in this together. We have to work together, and we have to care for each other. I know that we can do this through the community support, through the support of our local businesses, our EDC, our council, our county government, Tri-Water, everybody. We all have a deep, deep interest in our city, or we would not be here, and a lot of us would not have gone through the bull that some of us have had to go through. It is imperative that we stay positive and that we work together, and I always remember we live in the same community, we have the same goals. Thank you, and I pray to God that we all do better.
Hey, I'm Kelly. Kind of want to shake things up a little bit and be different. So I'm going to try this, and I would love it if y'all would loosen up a little bit. So the way I look at it is I represent the city of Mount Pleasant, and I have always referred to her, the city, as a she. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. She should be desired. People should want to be here. It's kind of like when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Thing is you see it, you want it, you chase it, you desire it, you don't buy it, you woo them. And I look at the industries that are here or coming, y'all should want this. Everybody should want this town. We've got everything that we have to offer. We have minerals, we have water, we have the greatest land. We have the most beautiful landscapes. Our downtown is absolutely precious. And if somebody doesn't want to be in our town, I'm so sorry. I've learned to say it that way, just I am so, so sorry. But I love it here, and I am so thankful and blessed to be here. So on that, being that I feel like I'm representing Mount Pleasant, I have a song that I found, been listening to it. You know that saying of you sometimes have to stir yourself up to make yourself happy? And so there's been a couple of days that I have not been happy. So I found this, and I'm just going to play a small snippet, and I hope y'all might loosen up a little bit and maybe tap your finger. And maybe y'all will think of this and think of our beautiful town. You ready?
Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
So, that said, she'll be just fine. So, after listening to this and stirring myself up, our beautiful town is going to be just fine. And I hope everybody will repeat that and will say that and will be positive about the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, council. Again, that was nice and uplifting there. We'll go ahead and, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you for presentation.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Short notice, and you're here. That says a lot. It's greatly appreciated. Apologize for only letting you all know on Monday, and you're here Thursday, but wow, it means a lot to us, and I think as a city council, they want this dialogue to happen. And so I'm going to go through some slides because I think that to me, so for me, I've been, Greg Nyhoff, by the way, I'm the interim city manager. So for me, I've been city managing for 30 years in 3 different states. I have now 4. Moved here about 3 years ago, bought a little place outside Mount Vernon with my wife. My son moved here with his wife, and they own Mount Pleasant Insulation. So I have a business owner in my family. He also works for Roberts Air Conditioning, and so I got family here, and this is where I hope to stay for a long time. For my background, so I've been in cities from 2,500, then went to 18,000, then actually assistant city managers in the city of Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is 400,000. A couple cities of 200,000. Last city was 100,000, and then I spent 30-some years in this business, and I said, I'm gonna take a break. This opportunity, we'll call it an opportunity, was a calling, because I was doing just fine deer hunting and driving my tractor. But there was a turnover on council. There was a city manager that left. There was a lot of anxiety, and I said, maybe I can help. Maybe I can help just come in through this transition time. And I've been honored to do that. I've been honored to serve with these new council members and all of you. So I wanted to start there, and hopefully some of my comments, understanding that I look at this from years of being in charge of economic development as a city manager, years of working with downtown folks, and how do you strengthen your downtown, years of working with city council members, and you have an awesome city. We do. And I just think your future is super bright, but we have to be ready for it, and we have to be working together to get there. So I'm going to run through some slides, and I'm going to talk about what I think is the meaning of economic development when it comes to a community. So we'll see if I can do two things at once, hit the button and actually go. So I want to just say the agenda for tonight is comments. You got that. You're going to get a presentation. I need to turn my timer on so I don't talk too much. And then questions, ideas, and concerns and dialogues. And so everybody understands this is a sole, one-item focused agenda. We're here to talk about business, economic development. We're certainly here to hear concerns, but this whole dialogue is about what ideas you might have. And so when I finish, it's going to be open mic to come up. There'll be no other topics to be discussed other than economic development, business retention, how we all promote our business community in whatever way it might be. Certainly you can have concerns too and questions, but we do want this to be a dialogue with the city council. So I'll just move through the slides. So I wanted to start by saying, I put on here, these are examples of city council priorities because I've listened to them. I've been here 9 months, and I've listened to them, and we just haven't got to actually having them say, these are our absolutely highest priorities. But I can tell you that these are the things that I have heard them say again and again and again. So on the top, economic development, enhanced community engagement, local business support, focus on enhanced transparency, and rebuild trust. So now I was going to have the city council comment here, but they get to do what they want. So first of all, first of all, if you're a business that I don't show in here, please do not think that you're less important because I can't list you all. All businesses are just important. But here's a new business that happens to be my favorite coffee shop. So I took the prerogative here to start with Huey's, a new business in our community. This steakhouse, Rancho Seca, just opened Friday, and I have had the opportunity to go there. Again, what are you looking at? You're looking at redevelopment, development, business expansion, all those being important. There's some brand-new homes over there by, I guess, Old Pilgrims Bank. The hospital's right there behind it, but these were recently built right within our city limits, kind of an infill project. This is, let's see, Sky Villas? Thank you, Skyrise Villas. So it's about 140 acres. It's out, it's kind of across the road from the hospital, but I-30's right there on that side. So here's another large development that is in the works. I took Preferts. I was blessed to be able to get a tour of Preferts with Eddie Prefert. And what an amazing operation the Preferts have. I've been a rodeo fan for a lot of years, and I always saw the gates at Prefert. I didn't know who they were, what they were, and I got to see what they do and how they do it. And so I show the Preferts one as a great business here, but also that's a new building they put up since I've been here, and there's more to come. And so when we talk about business development, we can always talk about recruiting new businesses, but the majority of economic development in your community when it comes to the manufacturing side and other businesses comes from within. It's expansion projects, so that's just as critical. We've got a business park. We've had some struggles, shall we say, with getting capacity in it, but certainly there's a lot of lots available right here in the business park. I think it's also known as the I-30 Business Park. This is a new project, NXG. for truck bodies, and it's down by Big Tex on the west end of I-30. Again, it's still under construction or almost done. Local Bounty is a company that was recently brought in, and I'll talk a minute about Economic Development Corporation, and we've got a couple board members here. I didn't see Nathan yet, but, oh, there he is. So anyway, the economic development, this is one of those projects that the corporation, those folks in the board and Nathan did a great job bringing them into the community. And so that's part of their role, and we'll go through that in more detail. But probably just important to understand, your EDC actually is funding a lift station down here. And why is that lift station important for the city's system is so that we can provide capacity here for expansion and additional growth. So EDC as a city partner actually not only helps recruit businesses and bring them into the city, but they also partner with the city to make sure our infrastructure is ready when business comes. So I want to just say, what is economic development? I think we've heard a couple comments from council. And we talk about job creation, we talk about revenue generation for businesses, and obviously the city of Mount Pleasant, we do not exist without our business community and certainly our homes, but business is a big collector of revenue for us, and so are all the corporations in manufacturing and so forth. And so they're critically important. But I think that's kind of the first definition. A lot of people think, oh, it's job creation. But my question would be, is there more to economic development than that? Is there more in Mount Pleasant of economic development than that? So let me start with downtown. And I know some leaders of downtown are sitting in the second row right here. So what do? You know, they're out promoting events, the farmers market. It's important to them to see business success and profitability. The downtown is your heart. It's a gathering place. If we want to, you know, if everybody, Christmas, the Christmas tree lighting was one of the most impressive moments that I've had here in my time. I saw so many neighbors coming down there. There were hundreds of people. The businesses were active. People were in there. It's a place where we come to gather. And also you get collection of sales tax revenue, which supports the city and actually supports the EDC. So as important it is. But something I want to tell all of you is something I've been working with these downtown people, and we have a downtown Main Street as well, so there's actually kind of two bodies working together right now, is they have really begun gelling for the betterment of downtown, and it isn't just for their businesses, it is to really generate activity and events down there. It's what I want to do on a weekend with my wife. I'd like to come downtown and have some events. I'd like to come to the farmer's market. So they're really coming together. So Main Street is kind of the official body who gets appointed by the city, but then there's the downtown merchants who play a critical role, and they become very active, and they're very passionate about doing more in downtown to bring you all in there along with our tourists. So I want to show you this because the Main Street kind of has it's a nationwide initiative, but it has 4 areas that they kind of focus on, and I'll give you this one, which is the promotion committee. And so they have gotten together between the Main Street group and the merchants group and said, you know, what if we do this and say promote downtown, the marketplace, the environment, the stories, the businesses, so community uses it, tourists use it, business property owners make a return on their investments, possible future investors find it a good place for businesses to come when they get ready to get back in business, but creates a positive image, and it's a community gathering place. So I mentioned this and to show you this because there's great movement amongst the downtowners to make it a better, more successful place, but also a great place for us to gather. And so appreciate that from all of you. Is that a part of economic development? Absolutely. The Chamber of Commerce, and Richard Bonney is here, and I'm sure there's some other board members. I will tell you, been here 9 months, dealt with a lot of Chamber of Commerce. I haven't had the opportunity to deal with one as good as this. And Richard is great, and so they do so much. They represent the businesses. They put on events in our communities for all of us to enjoy. They're not only there for the businesses, they're here to bring in tourists, which all, again, enhances business. So are they a part of economic development? Absolutely. Absolutely are. So then we come to the Mount Pleasant Economic Development Corporation. And sorry, it's kind of a rule to not do a bunch of words on slides, but I'll forget if I don't put it up here. So I'm going to give you a really high-level conversation. Certainly, Nathan Tafoya is the director of the Economic Development Corporation. He can give you details for an hour, and his attorney, they've got one of the top attorneys for EDCs. But I'm going to go really high level on this. So established under state laws, Industrial Development Corporation, it can only expend funds towards industrial and manufacturing businesses. Now, why do I say that is because we often hear, why cannot they spend money on a retail business? Why can't they help somebody out that's struggling? Because the state law doesn't allow them to do that. They're very specifically required and restricted to do business in this area alone. And you as voters actually voted that in, the voters of the city of Mount Pleasant, to do that. And with that, they bring in a little over $2 million a year to bring in businesses, manufacturing, industry. And we would say, well, why is that important? Well, no people here with no jobs mean no business and no money to spread around. So another critical piece of economic development. So I would say to you, the downtown, the Chamber of Commerce, MPEDC, they're all working together. The local businesses are the definition of Mount Pleasant's economic development. I want to go back to the economic development, or the economic MPEDC, and kind of walk through this, because sometimes over the past few months, there's sometimes confusion, like who oversees what, who does what in regards to this. So I'm going to give you again a very high level my interpretation. So voters established it as an industrial development corporation. So city council appoints the 5 board members. There's a couple of them here. Thank you for being here tonight. EDC has great flexibility. It's set up the law to do it that way, so that cities, we're quite restricted how we use money and those types of things. They have the ability to have much more flexibility to bring companies in, bring them to the table, spend money in ways and places that a city couldn't do. The reason for that, the state allows that, is because it is a state who supports economic development. And so they're a critically important part and piece of economic development in this community. So again, I'm just going to show you, so the state law establishes it. There's bylaws and there's articles of incorporation. These are very old. They're still in the 1900s, late 1900s. Is that right, Nathan? 1970s? So established a long time ago.
Established in 94
94.
was the vote.
Not
94, 96.
close to 2000, years ago. So one of the things that we've been talking about with the EDC is that we need to update those. And I will tell you that part of that is that there is confusion sometimes between the interpretation of what those articles and what those bylaws mean, and they cause some anxiety. So what happened, the city council recently appointed 2 persons to 2 vacant seats to the EDC board for the sole purpose of trying to work this together, as a number of them has said tonight. So that's going to be one of the critical pieces of that, because sometimes there's confusion on whose role is what and whose responsibility is what. And I think that us getting together with council at the table, the EDC board at the table together, will be a great step forward to really gelling that relationship together, because we fail without each other. We succeed with each other. So again, what you see here is it's voters elect the council, then the council appoints MDC board members. So again, the voters elect council members, but then the taxpayers actually pay sales tax in 2 different ways. So they pay the line across straight into city council, and then they pay it down into the EDC. And so that $2 million that goes into the EDC, and then the city council collects their sales tax, and we'll just use sales tax, property tax, police, fire, streets, parks, and so forth. EDCs is restricted, as we said earlier. So the other things that in this process that happens is annually the EDC will propose a budget for the city. The city council, who answers to the voters, is the elected body who is given oversight to a certain extent of what goes on in the EDC. So that it comes to council, they approve their annual budget, and then the EDC board and director and whoever they might hire, they expend that money within that budget. They can hire someone, which they've done as a board. There's a couple people that work with EDC. Nathan's the director, he's with us. And so again, what happens here is this comes up to council, the budget for approval goes back down, and then they spend it as they see fit within the criteria that the budget operates. So the second thing then is, again, you're looking at, so there's voters who vote for the city council. Council appoints the board. So again, the staff and EDC boards, they do all the negotiations with our corporations for expansions and that type of thing. But when they come up with a project, an agreement to actually bring somebody forward, I'll just use local bounty because it's a good one. They'll present that agreement, says you're going to create so many jobs, you're going to do so much construction, so forth, and then that gets brought up to city council again, who actually approves the project. So why do I want to show you that? Because I think it's important that everybody understands this process. It joins them at the hip. The two bodies here are joined at the hip. They need each other. Communication is critically important. So now I throw everything in a mess, and somebody said, they looked at this and said, how do you put that together? Well, I'm going to back up. It all starts with the voters. So you vote for the council members, you vote for the tax to the EDC. So the city council answers directly to you. The city council ultimately approves projects and budgets. Taxpayers then are funding the general fund, the city budget, and taxpayers are funding the EDC. And so what's important is EDC has a lot of flexibility. City council actually has the ultimate oversight, and that's established by state law. Okay, everybody's got it. I'm not sure it was very helpful to understand, but I think sometimes it's like, well, how come this company got this or that company got this? These two bodies just critically have to work together. And ultimately what you know, and it's the same as we give money and I hope to contribute more towards events in the downtown area very soon, it's the Main Street body. That's the body that is appointed by council, but council has oversight to give them that money and then it gets spent there. And so I think that's important to see how these are all intertwined when it comes especially to funding. So I wanted to just go through a quick example. So we're going to go to the large facility. It's the NXG truck bodies. Under construction, almost done, I believe. Again, down by Big Tex on I-30. So they worked with the company. Nathan and the board worked very closely with the company. They put together the project, the agreement, how that's all going to work. And again, for instance, they evaluate how many jobs you're going to create, how much construction, what kind of square feet that's actually going to be, and then that gets presented up to city council for approval. Let me give you quick pictures of it. So it's a long ways down the road here. Got a lot of that construction's already completed. So again, the EDC prepares that agreement. It comes before the city council. And again, they're the oversight board. Voters have put them in. They approve that or not. And the city council through the budget. So again, they adopt an annual budget and there's money within that budget for these types of commitments. And so they negotiate that. But that still has to come up in front of the city council. So again, EDC is a recommending board, even though they basically do all the work to put the deal together. So I'm using this one a little bit because it was a little bit unusual. So in this particular one, the agreement had $1 million incentive. It had sewer connection in it, which is what, when we give sewer to people, we want them to annex in the city. And so that's part of the agreement. So sewer was available, but the company asked, we'll annex, but can we delay that annexation into the city? Part of the agreement. So then we look at that agreement when it comes up and we say, well, yes, we'll agree to that as a council, but we want to make sure that that annexation actually occurs. Because once you give somebody sewer that's created 100 jobs or 150 jobs, you don't want to have to shut it off. The only way you're going to get that back is you're going to end up in court. So the city wanted to put verbiage in there that guaranteed it and sign the document. Typically, we haven't been doing that, but because of that annexation clause in there, we put our name in there as an approving body because we're going to need to step up if they don't annex and deal with that. So let's just say, what's it look like today? So I put construction is complete because I didn't get down there when I wrote this, but it's not quite complete. So it is complete, and the $1 million has been released. And so that part of the project is gone. And so now, again, as you look at the reason that the city became a signatory there on that particular agreement, because annexation hasn't occurred. And so again, we're on that process so that we ensure that annexation is done. So you can see why we are so interconnected with two bodies between them and us. And And this particular project, we have no reason to believe it's not going to work perfectly. But certainly, our job as a council, as the oversight body, needs to make sure that we cover all bases, and if something does go wrong, we have the ability to make sure they annex. So why all this information? You know, I hope that maybe you gained a little educational information on this, but I want to say it just absolutely requires, and you heard it from council tonight, a partnership between City Council as the oversight board and the MPDC, who proposes the budget, negotiates, proposes projects for City Council consideration. And I will say to you that that revenue dedicated to promote economic development and business expansions, it's absolutely invaluable to you. Doing economic development in a lot of cities, this is an invaluable tool that the EDC works with and works on to bring new business, new jobs here. So, wow, we're going to switch right over to a really dirty picture. That's a sewer plant expansion. That's doubling the size of the city of Mount Pleasant's sewer plant. Another picture of it. Cleaner, that's good, but still not. So here is an installation of a trunk line, 18-inch trunk line. Here that project is again. It's ongoing. Both of those are ongoing as we speak. Why is that important? So now let's roll the city into part of this. The city council previously borrowed $45 million because that plant was almost at capacity. And as I said earlier, when you're at capacity, there's no more growth. You can't have it. So borrow money, expand that plant to the tune of $45 million. Those main lines you see, and you've probably seen piles of those blue pipes out there, they're getting put in to provide a loop. And that loop will open up everything on this map that's yellow. And there's a little pink spot up there too. So there was pressure capacity in that area too, but the yellow will be all available and have sewer available to it, and the pink actually will gain capacity. And I will say, we've had some conversations about what capacity do we have at the I-30 Business Park, the Mount Pleasant Business Park. It was limited. This will open it up there too. And so again, the city has to play an important role with all of you and businesses, whatever that be, to be able to expand like that. And I can tell you, as a city, very excited about this. But why is it important that the city sees economic development here? Why is that important? Is because we borrowed $45 million and somebody has to pay that bill. And you do that. That's a normal thing that city does because all of you live here, have sewer service. You already pay. You paid for the sewer service. So now you're going to expand. The goal is to see the people that move in here, build and expand, that they are paying for that privilege as well, and you don't absorb that. If that doesn't happen, then you are going to be sitting as a city, as sewer customers, you're going to be paying that bill for years to come. And so it's critically important. And I see John Anderson in the back over here. So I want to quickly say that line that you see there, and we have a picture of Christus Hospital. Are you aware it's going up over there by Lowe's at the interchange? Christus Hospital at that location does not have sewer right now. But those blue pipes, they're headed that way. So by the time that thing has beds available, it will have sewer. The Anderson Crossing, that development did not have sewer capacity. It will now have ample sewer capacity to do that too. So as you can kind of see, we kind of were bottlenecked a little bit as a city until we did this. But we borrowed $55 million to do this, and so now we need to bring in the economic development. It's got to be, and it'll only benefit through downtown, through the Chamber of Commerce, businesses, all businesses, including business expansions and new businesses. So a pretty awesome map to see how much area now that we can open our sewer service up to. Oh, I did it twice just so you could see two different colors. So real quickly, what are we doing in Mount Pleasant? First, I just want to say City Council has made it a priority. Second, we just showed you the infrastructure. We borrowed $45 million under construction, $10 million for that line under construction. And then one of the things just to highlight out of that, we were struggling with capacity in our own business park. And this will definitely open that up for much more availability. Third, I just want to say downtown, we've had personnel supporting the downtown. It supports all the events, but hopefully there'll be some additional funds coming that way too, again, to continue to seed more events and help the downtown businesses and the events that they're scheduling to grow. And there's planning and building, and now that can be seen as a positive or not so much. It's a part of life, shall we say, when it comes to development, but what we need to be is make sure that we don't have barriers and that our codes are business friendly and that those who work there are the same. And I'll give you a quick example of something I saw early on, maybe a good thing, maybe not, but all businesses were required to build concrete parking lots. And concrete parking lots are usually more expensive than asphalt. And do we really need to require that? Because we want to have as least cost burden on these businesses as possible. So we need to make sure the fire truck gets in there and they don't sink in the asphalt. So it's important to have some concrete. But one of the things we're talking about bringing up in front of the city council is to open that up to do either, so that you can choose to do either one. And so, what's your part of this as we talk further? Are there codes that you're dealing with as businesses, a Chamber of Commerce members, that you can bring to us and say, hey, is there something we can do? And we have laws to follow. The building codes, they're like universal code. Plumbing is plumbing. It's not Mount Pleasant's code. They adopt a universal code. But zoning and land use and the particular criteria required, design standards, those are some things that this council can change, but we need to hear from you if there's things out there that you have concerns about from your businesses. And I would say that we are, I know the planning department's working on to create a process guide, because sometimes you get in there, you bring a project in, and you're lost. So we really want to make it easier for you can see the step-by-step process. So I will ask you all this. Are you prepared for imminent growth that will either land in or bypass Mount Pleasant? Will we be the desired location for business as growth continues east along the I-30 corridor? Why do I say that? I recently went to Dallas. I've been here almost 3 years, but I used to go by Greenville and thought, well, isn't coming yet. Economic development isn't that far yet. In Greenville, it's still not too good looking. This is Greenville. This is on I-30. That little red trailer there is Cinemark. And you can see that track hole behind there. There's a whole lot of brand new investment and business going in right there at that interchange in Greenville. And you know where Greenville is? Not far away. So where are they going to land next? They're coming up the corridor. And trust me, as a guy who lived in Denver, Colorado, and had Colorado Springs like 120 miles down, you can barely see any grass in between those two cities anymore. And that's what I absolutely envision will happen here. We just need to be the destination they want to come. They got the Texas Roadhouse, but we have Rancho Seca, so we'll take it. We'll take it. I did put this map of Christus in. So again, here's Christus, who doesn't have sewer. They're right at the beginning points. We will have sewer for them when they're ready to start treating patients. So I'm going to start the dialogue, but I'm going to just comment first. So I would like to say that I think that this council and all of us should want to encourage a high level of collaboration and communication. I would think that a suggestion I would have is to have a meeting like bi-monthly or tri-monthly between members of the downtown, members of the Chamber of Commerce, members of MPEDC, and members of the city. And why would we do that? Because if you don't really know what each other's doing, how do you collaborate? And so I just think it's a good thing that the stronger we can be with all of us partnering together, communicating together, is something very important. And I know it's crucial to the city council that happen. Recognize, appreciate, speak positively about each other, respecting each other's unique missions. And I think Councilmember Corbell mentioned that, and all of them have mentioned that speaking positively about each other is very important to do. Speaking negatively is easy. And I've done a number of conversations, and one of them was the next bullet point, which is negative impressions of a community's business friendliness usually starts from within. And it becomes the narrative. So we work together to solve those problems, not spread the negativity. And what do I mean by that? So I used to do a formula that said, somebody says something negative about, I'm going to say the Chamber of Commerce because I love Richard. I think he's awesome. So I'll just use the Chamber of Commerce. I say, you know what, they're not a good organization. And I tell 2 people that. 2 people tell 2 people. Now I'm at 4. 4 people tell 4 more people. Now I'm at 8. You get to almost 500,000 in 2 years that have heard you say that. And so, to me, we, all of us, if we speak negatively about our other organizations, whether it's I'm speaking poorly about the Chamber of Commerce, vice versa, about the council, that negative will be your narrative, if that's what we speak. And so I just want to just wholeheartedly encourage you that when that moment comes to say that, just call whatever body it is that you're thinking, hey, I want them to do something differently. Just put the call in. And don't spread that. I think that Mount Pleasant is a great city. It's in a great location. You have great businesses and great people. I wouldn't have moved here 3 years ago if I didn't wholeheartedly believe that. I would not have volunteered. I would not have come before this council and said, you know what, I can step in and help a little while. Because you've got everything. It's just, can we make it happen? Can we make it happen collectively as a group? And that's what this body wanted to do when they started this dialogue, and we've just been busy on other stuff. They've been wanting to do it. I've been wanting to do it. And so tonight is kind of what I'll say the first step to say, we're here to listen, we're here to hear ideas, and we're here to say, hey, let's just do this together. Because you do want to be the city that they do not, you do want to be the city that growth comes to. You don't want the leapfrogs. Honestly, I'm a city manager, you know what? I honestly don't care about Sulphur Springs at all. I'd rather have the business in Mount Pleasant. I don't care about Winfield. I don't care about Greenville, because where I want it as your city manager is right here. All right, that's all we want. Just put it right here. We just have to be the place they want to come. We have to show them that this is the place they want to come and why. So I put this chart up here. It's got these 5 bodies on here. What I almost did was I almost decided I'm going to put arrows between them all. And I thought, no, this is too beautiful of a picture right here that shows what this collaboration can look like. It's all of you. But you know what? The EDC cannot make it without the Chamber of Commerce and the businesses and the downtown businesses, because they collect the sales tax that EDC uses to promote jobs. You don't have any sales tax coming in if those jobs aren't coming in and people aren't working here and they're buying homes here. The city doesn't have any public safety for you if we don't do our part, and if we don't promote both businesses, homes, and so forth. And so these groups, if I drew arrows, I could drive them, I could draw them amongst every single group up here, how they depend on each other. It's not just a story about, you know, hey, there's 5 individual groups up here working to make the city better. No, you are, but you're all working for the same reason. And so I just want to really encourage you, because I do believe this city is on the edge of great things. And I see passion in people. I see, those downtown folks, I tell you what, I've enjoyed, I've met them 3-4 times now, and they're like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it's kind of like, but how do we get through this, city manager? I was like, hold on, let's meet, let's talk about it. And we're going to stumble a little bit here, folks, but it can't turn into a negative situation. So I just tell you all that this city council, I've worked with them for 9 months. Most of them are new. And so there's been a learning experience. I walked into a budget, they walked into a budget. We had to cut $1.5 million within 4 months just to get back to stable. And I will say, we are stable. So a lot of things they've done, but now it's time to take the next step. And that's what they want to do with all of you. So I will say the city council selected a new city manager last night. So this will be my home. And I have been honored to work for this group right here. I've been honored to work with you. I'm so excited seeing your faces out here that want a far better place. And you may see me pop up. I will be shopping. They asked me if I'd be shopping downtown. I have for 3 years, and Christmas cost me a lot of money in downtown, but it's a good thing. Paid my salary, right? I just want to say that to you, that you've all been super great to work with, and I just want it to be a challenge to you all, because, wow, do you have the potential to be great and really be an unbelievable place. Just stick together, work together, get over the differences, and you will be great. So, council members, guess what? You own the show. I'm done. Anyway,
right.
thank you all.
All right, let's give Mr. Nyhoff a round of applause. That was a great presentation and very educational for most of us. I hope everyone got something out of that, and we're going to take these steps to go forward to improve the city, and all of us can do that working together. We have that opportunity. Now it's on us to do that. So at this time, I'm going to open the floor for, do you have something, Ms. Nyhoff? Okay. For anyone that would like to come up, ask questions, we're here to answer those questions to the best of our knowledge. If not, I'm pretty sure Mr. Nyhoff can probably help you out. We also will, if we have any entities in the house that would like to maybe talk with us afterwards, we're open to that. So at this time, if anyone would like to speak, please come up.
Yeah, I just wanted to clean the podium, so you come up here. So we are recording this, and we'll be posting it up at a later date. But certainly, if you, again, we're focused on the whole side of business, economic development here. So certainly, come on up here if you got something to say, concerns, questions, so forth, and you'll get the microphone. We'll catch you on TV.
Yeah, just raise your hand, and I'll call you up, and we can go ahead and get started.
I wrote it down so I don't get distracted. My name is Kelsey Knight. I'm a citizen of Mount Pleasant. I'm also new here, but I'm married to someone who was raised here. I love Mount Pleasant. It's a great place to live. I want it to be prosperous, but great businessmen say that there's no growth, or there's no stagnation. There's only growth or death. We can either let things happen to us with little to no control, or we can make it happen. I, for one, want our business leaders to be part of making that happen, not letting it happen. I want my children to want to come home here, not get out as fast as they can, like so many do. Until we reach across those lines and celebrate how we love our town and make things happen, we will continue this embarrassing path that we're on. I want others to grow with me, but if you won't, I need you to get out of the way.
Okay. Do we have anyone else? All right. All right, council, all right, please come up. Yeah.
They'll be easier to handle.
I wasn't planning on speaking. Holly Parker. I actually live in Cookeville, so while not living in Mount Pleasant, I do live in Titus County, and I do love this county. I do love the city. This is my home. I've lived here for 7 years. It's actually the first time I ever owned a home. We were a military family, so we moved constantly. I guess the problem is I see competing visions right now. I moved here after I've lived in Portland, Oregon, Washington, D.C. I actually lived in Greenville for 2 years. Greenville has no character. I hated every minute of it. This town has character. It just has something that I loved, and it's beautiful out here. And I guess I wanted a quiet life, and I feel like there's this tension between those who wanted the quiet life while having industry versus those who say we want growth for growth's sake, no matter what it does to the character of the community. And I don't want that. And yes, I like my little private life in Cookeville on my land. And I like that you said we have beautiful land, but there's some people who'd rather tear up that gorgeous land that's God's creation and put a concrete building. if it doesn't have a purpose, if it doesn't have a mission that will give people excellent paying jobs, there's no reason for it to be here. So with the EDC, my problem is we don't have any say in who they bring. Everything is in executive session. We have no say in what's going to go on in this community. And we should have a right to know, and right now we don't. So I just challenge you that if you love the rural life, this is a place to be. And you can still grow without destroying the character of the community. But if you want a city life, there's lots of cities to go live in. So I just challenge you, if this is the right town for you, if you don't want to live the rural life, you don't have to live here. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, my name is Nikki Hine. I am a Texas real estate licensed real estate agent for Maben Realty. I am the wife to Jason Hine, that is the general manager at the GMC Tolliver store that is formerly known as Sisk Motors, still at work. And I also have a small business downtown, developed from an interior design business into a retail location downtown on the corner of 2nd and North Madison. So, I've been here since 1984, brought here when I was 2. Well, now you know how old I am. I currently have a college student at UTD, engineering student. I have a senior at Mount Pleasant High School. I have a child also at Chapel Hill, which we are completely blessed to have so many options. But I've also served for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, I cannot remember, on the Planning and Zoning Enforcement or Committee. All to say, I have a huge passion for development, growth, embellishing, and better our community, our buildings, our environment. I mean, down to the way I design is, if you must touch it, it must be good. It must be good quality. And so I just want to curate a very special place, and I feel like Mount Pleasant is a special place. All to say, like, none of this actually matters, so. Listening to Greg's information, it was informal, the fact that, and I completely respect that the developmental committee does not give or offer any funds to our small businesses downtown. Completely understandable. But what I do ask, because we have been diligently, tirelessly devoting extra time and efforts away from our families, our marriages, our children, our own businesses. We are asking that when we want to help an event, when we want to invest in something better for our town, because we love it, for no other reward besides bringing people downtown, shopping in our towns, to help our tax funds increase. We ask of you to help us, allow us to do all the things we want to do. We invite you guys. We've had many meetings with collaborations, city council, even including our city attorney, to try to make sure that we are lawfully correct. Our chief of police, who else? Greg has been in several meetings to make sure we are doing exactly what we need to do by the city standards and by the law. So we are just asking for permission and maybe just a little bit more acknowledgement. That's all we need, is a little time, just read it. Just read it. We are asking for what funds that are set aside for our downtown merchants to be pushed over to us to allow us to embellish, but I promise you, we are doing exactly, we're matching it, if not more. So anyway, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right. All right. Do we have anyone else that would like to come up at this time? All right. Councilor, would you like to respond? Please do.
So, I'm looking across the room. I know many faces. And, looking at the faces that are here that I know and recognize that have been here for quite a while. So, trying not to age everybody, but y'all will know who I'm talking to. So, when I think about our community in Mount Pleasant, don't laugh and don't throw anything at me, but I'm going back to the 70s. Who all was here in the 70s? Okay. In the 70s, let's say 71 or 72, we had a square, it was functioning. We had a downtown cinema, theater. We didn't have Walmart. Like in 71 or 72, I would say we probably had, help me, 5 or 6 restaurants and a lot of Dairy Queen type of things. We had a drag. You went down here and you came back. So when I see our town, X many years later, and how we've grown, how our Walmart in Mount Pleasant was the first Walmart in the state of Texas, and it was the highest grossing Walmart in Texas, which is great sales tax for us. I look at what Mount Pleasant has done, and those of you that were here in the 70s and the 80s, you all agree and you know that when Dorchester closed, that was like in the early 80s, that hurt. There were a lot of people that worked at Dorchester their whole life. And then what was it, 10, 12 years ago that Luminant closed. A lot of people took their buyouts and they started doing other things. That's 2 industries that affected a lot of households. And at the same time that was happening, U.S. Steel in Lone Star, they quit. Now, I'm born and raised here. And I'm very proud of our land. I'm very proud of what we generate. I had the refinery in my backyard. I was used to the siren going off and getting in my car and driving on the other side of town. So yes, I played in the creeks. I probably glow in the dark. But I'm very thankful and I really want our town to grow. Those jobs that left us in the 70s and the 80s, they've been replaced with our trailer manufacturers and Preferts and those industries. And yay, thank the Lord for them. Thank the Lord for them. But we need more. If we want our people to come back and live here, we have to provide good jobs. And the downtown merchants are trying their best to make sure we have great shopping for the families that are going to move here so they're prepared to shop and that we will have everything we need. So the EDC is an amazing organization. When I got on the council, I ended up in a meeting with Nathan, another board member, Greg, and myself. And I heard these things for the first time. I'd never heard of a type A sales tax. I never understood. Now, I'm a retail person. I pay tax every month, and I see at the bottom when you pay something to the comptroller, it says how much is going to the state and how much is going local. But I never understood that there's a certain percentage of that type A sales tax that's set aside for the EDC. It's in reserve. If the city of Mount Pleasant chose not to have that fund, it's going to go back to Austin. It won't stay here and it won't come to us. So we've had people come up to us knowing our financial situation that we had last year going, oh, well, why don't we just get the money from the EDC and not let them have what they get off the Well, after I started asking questions, that's when I started realizing, no, that money's going to go to Austin. So I'm looking at Erman. Am I right? Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I'm speaking right because I've only been doing this 7 or 8 months, and it's a lot to learn. I do want growth, and I would just really like to see hands. Do y'all want to see the town grow where we have industry and where we are able to bring jobs and our kids are able to have jobs? The way I look at it, we have the best of both worlds. We have areas that are industrial that can provide that, and then we have gorgeous land. And people who grew up here, they know, I want land. I'm going to live out in the country. You've got other people go, I want Wi-Fi, I want to live in the city, I want sewer, I want to make sure I don't have, my internet going in and out. They make that choice. Every person makes that choice whether they live in the city or they live in the county. And that's something that my family's done off and on through the years. And I'm looking at your faces, and I know most of you have done the same thing. I personally, and I know everybody's sitting there with their hands in their lap, I'd like to see a show of hands of how many people want to see growth, and they want to see us continue on. Let's catch up from where TU left us, and let's catch up from where we lost U.S. Steel and where we've lost Dorchester. I'd like to catch up and go forward. Well, Nathan's asking, but I want to see hands of how many people want to see the growth. All right, thanks. So here's the deal. It's not that easy. And I work full-time. I have my store, like these young ladies here. If I'm not at my store, I'm not making any money. And everyone here in this place knows I make $25 a month working on the city council. So that's not obviously going to help me. I look at people on TV now, man, they're kicking butt. I mean, these guys on TV in Washington, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. I can't keep up with what they're doing. When I come home from work, it's like watching all my children. But they're paid a salary to do that. That's their job, is to keep that going and to do it. We aren't paid really to do it. We're doing it because we love it. Nathan, raise his hand. He's the director and he's paid. Chris, he's not paid. Erman is not paid. These are people who love our town and are trying to pull our heads together and trying to figure out what we're going to do. We're trying to take 2 documents that are old, and we are trying to merge these documents together and figure out who's working off what page and how we're going to get up to date so we can all go forward and bring these industries in. I'm done, but I just want y'all to know I'm so excited. I was so excited to see your hands. And we are all going to have to pull together, and we're going to have to quit pointing the fingers at each other, because the thing is, we point the fingers at each other, and these industries that are looking at us, that are like, oh, I'm going to read the newspaper. I'm going to read what's on Facebook. Oh, I'm going to read this. Well, guess what? Do you think they want to come and buy a piece of property and bring all their families home here to live with us? No, I think that we need to be positive, and I think that we need to put a good front on. It doesn't need to be a front. It needs to be real. It needs to be real. And so, again, we might not always agree with what the EDC board is doing. We might not always agree with, well, most of the time we do agree with Chamber. They're so sweet. But you know, we have to really work this out. And so I'm so thankful that y'all are here. I'm tired of talking, but I'm so thankful that y'all are here. And I just want you to understand that nothing's going to happen overnight. It's been a busy 7 or 8 months, very busy. And we're all learning a lot quickly. And I'm just excited because the visions that people have for our future, maybe, just maybe not in my lifetime, But maybe we will be able to replace those 3 industries. Maybe we will have the trailer builders, we'll have all these people, and maybe we'll have 4 or 5 more. And so I'm just asking people to give us some patience as we go through this, and know that our hearts are all to go forward and to bring good jobs to the town. Thanks.
You have anything?
Just to respond to, I would say, some of what City Manager Nyhoff and Kelsey Knight and a few others, Holly and Nikki said. Starting with Greg, right, like, in war, nothing gets accomplished. We've seen a lot in the news, right, just as an example, in Israel and Gaza and even Ukraine, what that's done. And while we're not throwing bombs that are physically blowing up buildings, I feel like there's, the cloud of negativity has really built up a lot of walls, right? I'm not from here. I've been here roughly 6 years, been visiting this town for almost 15. I was cautious on even really running for election originally, but 2 years of being here, I decided to stay. I want my kids to come back. And, I don't want this to be Dallas. I lived there, grew up there, and we'll never be Dallas, I hope. At the same time, I can appreciate what Holly's saying, right? We don't want to be Longview either. They annexed everything, spread that town out, and like you don't know where you're at when am I in the city limits or I'm not? At the same time, as Kelsey said, if you don't grow, you die. Plants grow, and when they stop growing, they die. And so, I want this town to flourish. I see a lot of people here that invest a lot of their time and effort that have been invested in some of the projects you've seen up here tonight. And, I appreciate all the city employees and volunteers that have been involved. A lot of folks take a lot of bullets for free, and at the same time, we may not always agree, but, back to transparency, and I'll even say this event tonight, I'm appreciative for, and hope we have a lot more of them, because I think a lot of people just don't know. You go around talking to each other, one thing turns into another. Next thing you know, it's a whole different story. So I do appreciate everyone that took the time out tonight on a Thursday night, instead of going out to dinner with your spouse or whatever other plans you had. I want growth here. I want healthy growth. I don't want to burn the wick till there's no more candle left. But there's been a lot of investment. I think the IDC is an important tool, right, that the city can use. I mean, I'll just tell you, up in, Naples area, right, they're about to build a power plant. It's going to be online 2028. So it's coming, as Greg said, it's coming. We're going to watch it grow around us, or we're going to get involved and, build a future for ourselves. So I appreciate all the people that spoke tonight, and hope next time more do.
All right, you have anything?
I apologize because I get very emotional, very passionate about our city. I think we have great people here. I love this town. I would not be on this council if I didn't think I could serve. I think we're all going to work well together. I've been accused sometimes of having a Pollyanna attitude, but I believe, like my husband tells me, you go out, you play well with others. I think if we play well with each other, we will all grow and we will all prosper.
Do you have anything else, Kelly? You good? All right. Yes. Yes.
My name's Kent Bassinger, and I'm a small businessman here. And the question I have, and it's been asked a lot today, and it's been kind of confusing for a lot of people, and, to have that open conversation is, there's a rumor going around that the new people put onto the EDC are 2 council members. Is that true?
Well, ask a question again, I'm
The
sorry.
two new members of the EDC board is going to be two council members.
They did elect two people from the
Okay.
the
Now,
council.
in doing that, and this is the question that keeps coming up, the council oversees the EDC. So it doesn't make sense to a lot of people I've talked to that we have council members on there that oversee themselves. And I think the council would be better served with two good qualified businessmen that want to participate, want to see the growth, that can do it. I'm not saying either one of these women are not qualified by any means.
Right.
But I think, when we're talking about, being able to see what everybody's doing, to know what everybody's doing, it just seems wrong that we put council members on a board that they actually oversee. And I don't know if it's legal. I wouldn't think so, but it probably is if y'all have done it. But, just because it's legal doesn't always make things ethical or moral. And I'd just like to make that point.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
Kent,
Yes.
so I'm looking at Erman. Erman was on the city council for how many years? How many? 30. And at what point did you get appointed to the EDC to be the liaison between the council and the EDC?
Probably early 90s.
Okay. And so when he was no longer on the council, he'd have stayed on the EDC. That's between whatever happened. The EDC right now is short 2 people, so they don't have a full set of 5. And so it's not something, I'm speaking for me, that I don't know if I'm on a...
We've had 2 people on the city council before.
Yes, yes.
Joe Myers and I.
So I've heard that from the past, that they've had 1 or 2. They also have had the city manager be there, whether it's ad hoc or whatever, but yes, because we have to know what's going on, because at the end of the day, we have to sign off on things. And so for that reason, they're short some, and we have to think of the future, what we're going to do, who's going to serve, but we needed to make sure we filled those positions. We also have a new city manager that's going to be starting in about 2 weeks, so everything is in transition right now. We have an election coming up in May, so because there's a lot of in transition, we just decided, let's start, let's get on there, let's keep things rolling.
Well, I fully understand liaison. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. But when you have, and this is my opinion and an opinion of a few, that when you have a board, it should be separate from its governing body. And it seems more open to the community to do it that way. So just want to make that point.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Kent,
Yes.
Kent, and I will add this because when I came, and I've heard, I get these screenshots or somebody's telling me about something that's going on in the EDC we weren't aware of. We're the ones who have to vote on it. We're elected to make good decisions. And without us being there, and evidently there's a precedence for it because it's happened before, but, in my capacity, I started going on my own, going down there, because I realized there was a disconnect between the city and the EDC. And it was because we were being asked to vote on things that maybe we weren't so well aware of as we should have been. And it wasn't anybody's fault, it was just the way it was. So that is one of the reasons that was considered, because we're elected to make good decisions, and it's hard to make that decision if we're not 100% aware of what's going on. I mean, and I went to some meetings, and I'll tell you, I couldn't discuss them. I mean, I was sitting there at meetings that I thought, I can't discuss this with anyone. So, and then you'd go to a council meeting and there would be a question and, there was no answer there. And I certainly couldn't tell it and wasn't going to. So it makes it easier to communicate between the 2 boards. And I'm going to tell you right now, I would be open to having 7 members on the board. I think we should. But I do think that there is a direct connection between what we have to vote on and approve to make sure we're aware of exactly what we're voting on, and so.
Okay, yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So my question, when did the two members, I'm sorry, Trent Abbott, when did the two members that were on the EDC resign? Like 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks
something
So do we consider any other options for this position and experience? Had we opened it up to let either the EDC make suggestions, or was there anybody else considered where we could have looked at more members other than just being appointed by the council
I'm
themselves?
looking at Greg, should I?
I don't
I
think
mean,
anybody.
you don't have to say anybody
No,
specifically.
no,
It seems like we move very fast. That's my only comment.
So I'll,
That says
no,
business
Trent, so I'll tell you what we started talking about last fall, this is last fall. So, and I'm trying to watch what I say to not be negative about the past. But all of the boards that serve the city, some of them had changed as far as the policies and the way things operated. And you don't know those things till you actually get behind closed doors and you start looking at this policy dated 2009, 11, 10, and then all of a sudden you have a new policy that was dated 2 or 3 years ago, and there's changes. And some of us, last fall, were looking at our boards and thinking we need to really study the policies and what changes have been made, and we need to be able to look at all the people that are on the boards. But there's a lot of people that serve on all the boards, and they just keep serving on the same board, and they might not even come to all the board meetings. So we decided what we were going to do last fall is have some sort of application or form. We want to know who wants to serve, whether it's Main Street, whether it's planning and zoning. We've got a lot of boards and the EDC, and we want to know who wants to serve, who's passionate about these roles. And so we were going to start working on it in November. And then some things started coming at us pretty quick that took all of our time. And we were meeting often over some things that happened in end of October and November and December, and kind of waylaid our plan for what we did. So what we decided to do is for January to go ahead and just say we're going to wait, maybe not renew the boards at this moment in January, and give an opportunity to give out these applications to see who wants to serve, who's got the heart to serve in that capacity. And that's as far as we've gotten with that. And you want to help me with that? Please? Okay.
So I'll be very brief, and so in starting here, there's confusion between roles when it comes to City Council's roles and responsibility, EDC's roles and responsibility. And when you looked back at it, as I looked when I came here, you read the bylaws and you say, well, should this come to City Council, should it not? And so there was confusion there. And so I think, so talking to City Council members over the last little while, it's, okay, so the biggest, in my mind, way back from November was, and it started on their priority list, is let's get these bylaws and priorities and the articles updated, and both bodies have to approve this document. Both bodies have to approve it. And so if you do that, then you're going to have the conversation together that says, does this particular item need to come to City Council, or is it under the authority of the Mount Pleasant EDC? And until, in my mind, until that confusion is clarified, there's just going to continue some dysfunction between the two. So I would say, so City Council, they've already said in some of the discussions, they're not sitting here saying, we're going to be on here forever. Now, maybe if you get 7 members, it makes a lot of sense to have 2 on the council and still have 5 to the comment there. But at this moment in time, I think the most important thing to be done, and the EDC is all in favor of it, is that we both sit down with council members at the table with a majority of EDC board members, there's 3 there, and hash that deal out. Because what happens is they can come up with the agreement, send it here, we have a difference of opinion, we send it back, or you can sit at the table with 2 council members, 3 board members, and work to see if you can come together and come out of that room with one agreement, and then they'll make the recommendation to the rest of the body. You've got your bylaws updated, you've got your articles. Everybody went through the process understanding who has what role and who has what responsibility. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think from the beginning of me getting here, it has been part of the confusion that's happened. So this council has said, we're not married to this fact that they're going to be on, but at this moment in time, that document needs to be updated, and it needs to be updated together with both bodies. And I think it's a very, very good move to join 2 council members with these 3 board members and work through that document, those 2 documents with both attorneys, and come up with something that both bodies can adopt and say, now we are on the same page. And so I understand the comment of having all the business people there. I think they would agree that they want business people on there, but there is confusion in those documents that need to be updated.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nile. Mr. Anderson, did you have something?
I'm Ryan Hess, for those who don't know me. I question that too, on the regards of appointing y'all self to that board, and I do see it does seem conflicting to me, not because of who you are. I've known you my whole entire life, but and I love you, but I don't understand. One thing, it seems if there's disconnect between the council and the EDC board, wouldn't it make sense for the city manager to sit in on their meetings? Because I know that I don't know if you've ever been to any or not. I'm not pointing any fingers. So, but I know that the previous city manager didn't attend many, but I know that the city manager prior to him was at almost all of them. And there's not, so then you could appoint board members that are not sitting council members, and your city manager attends that meeting, and that kind of does away with the disconnect, I believe, right? Or it should help with the disconnect, right? So anyway, just my thoughts on that. That seems like that would be more appropriate to me.
So can I get you, Armin, to address this? And since you have longevity, 30 years, huh? I mean, can you come and explain? Because again, you were there for 30 years, and again, there's been a lot of people. You were appointed to be on the board.
Yes.
Okay.
I was appointed to be on the board, and at one time, Joe Myers and I was both on the board. There was really no, with being on the board with the city council and stuff, if something come up, the rest, we could kind of tell the council members what else was going on and everything. So it was good on that way, but seemed like we got more stuff going on nowadays. So.
We do.
Okay. Anything else?
I just wanted to make sure that they understood it wasn't something that
Nathan,
just
you might be able
happened.
to talk a little bit more to it.
Yeah, just so they knew it wasn't something that
Yeah.
was pulled out of our
Nathan?
hat.
You got a minute? I hate to see you on the back row.
Hey, Armin, how many people objected when you were on the board and the council?
Just to address the community, I think Erman, his departing comment was that we have a lot more going on these days. And so having people who are, who have the time, and Debbie's been really good about coming and having a lot of meetings with us and sitting down with us, asking us a lot of questions, which is always appreciated. But two, I've sat under 3 different city managers, and the first one was at every single meeting, and we had a really good connection, and I believe the relationship was really good. After that, prior to this administration, I think out of 3.5, maybe 4 years, there was maybe 3 attendances. And then maybe there's been a handful, during the interim period. But so in my opinion, as staff and from an operations standpoint, the disconnect really has been that there's been no city councilors, no city managers on the board. And I think I haven't heard prior to this meeting in any way Mr. Hess's point, but I think there's a really good structure with having, I'll just say this. I'm sorry, I was not expecting to talk, and Chris kept telling me not to. He's like, stay back here. But at any point, we have public meetings, and we have stated, so the community knows, we want, if all 5 city councilors wanted to come to all of our meetings and sit through our executive sessions, we would welcome that with open arms. No one has in the 6 years I've been here, meaning all 6 councilors. If anyone can show up, that's an ex officio. It does seem duplicative, in my opinion, to have 2 councilors, and I understand this is interim. I have no idea. I wasn't even aware that this was happening or that they were on our board. But now that I'm aware of it, because they're voting on something that's going to go to themselves to be voted on again, what we require, and I believe is really helpful for economic development at the level that we operate at and the caliber that we need for these usually very large projects, and very capital intensive, and from a financing standpoint, very complex. We lost, just so everyone knows, there were resignations in the last week and a half from Brian Niblett, who was the president, or sorry, CEO and owner of American National Bank, and then the senior vice president of Pilgrim Bank, Jason Snodgrass. So we lost 2 incredible gentlemen with financial acumen, who understood numbers very quickly, and we were able to, without hiring outside experts, be able to put deals together, and we were able to understand cash flow at a boardroom, at a table, very quickly, and be able to make decisions and be able to move at the speed of business, which I think is really critical, and why the EDC exists, to move at the speed of business. And having business people and highly trained financial people is something that I would definitely ask the council to consider. Any council member can also sit in at any of our meetings as an ex officio, and we would welcome and we would relish, and I think we've said this at many of our meetings, and I want the public to understand, we would love to have the city manager there. We would love to have a city councilor there so that disconnect never even happens. But as we make decisions, and there's a huge time commitment on our side. We have a lot of meetings, a lot of hours. These are not paid positions. These gentlemen, it's all been gentlemen so far, I know that they love this community, and I live here, I pay taxes here, I own a house in Mount Pleasant. This is my city as well. I moved here, I'm embedded, and so as we consider and wherever we go forward, having that sort of communication and maybe even having input into who those people are, having the board kind of from a board-centric outward to the council, making recommendations that would be considered, would be great. And I do want to welcome or introduce myself. If you don't know who I am, I'm Nathan Tafoya. I'm the executive director for the Mount Pleasant Economic Development Corporation. Our doors are open. If you have any questions, I will spend hours talking to you about economic development and why things are the way we are. I could address any of these situations we have up here. Economies change. We don't have Lumina anymore, which is the Titus County project, right? TXU. Economies have life cycles. Businesses have life cycles. We have to adapt when those things change. And there are paradigm shifts happening. 2008 was one with a financial issue. There are economies of the industrial economy, the knowledge economy. There's all kinds of economies that have the gig economy now, all these sorts of things that, you have DoorDashers, all these sorts of components that make an economy work. I think we need to be, and we are at the EDC focused on that. And even from a retail downtown perspective, we're highly, to every degree that we possibly can, we've made a a lot of inroads and have a lot of latitude within our organization, and we've really tried to help to the degree that we can, our downtown partners and our retail partners. So if you have any questions, please, I'll stop chatting. I know this is about boards. This is what happens. I talk too much. This is why Chris doesn't want me to get up here. But I love economic development. I do love this community. If you do have questions, my door is open. We're downtown. We've been focused on downtown. That was one reason why the EDC structured the Chick-fil-A deal, assembled the lots, got them together, because we didn't think that was the highest and best use of real estate, to have a nonprofit and a government entity on a Signals corner. So we moved, and our plan was to move all of the business resource centers downtown, because we believed in the downtown. We know it's the heart. And so we make moves that we don't talk about a lot to get those things in place and to support the city's vision, their comprehensive 2050 plan. We are already tied into that, so I don't know why I feel nervous, but I just say all that to say, come talk to us. Would love to hear ideas. I believe in idea meritocracies. I believe best ideas should go to the top. And if I ever talk to you, it's not because I'm challenging. I'm just trying to get to the best idea. And I think that whatever lands on top and helps the most amount of people and is the fairest should survive. So come talk to us. Thank you.
Nathan?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. A lot of people have been saying things like,
Hello.
Here, you need a mic. Here, there you go.
a lot of folks are questioning why. What? Sorry. The word is, you're secretive. You don't tell anybody what you're doing. Explain why some of that, it has to be done that way.
Sure. I'm going to go on my elbows. It's leaning too far forward. You're my support system? Yep. My support, John.
Here for you.
So I think Debbie, Ms. Corbell said it, and it matters. She said, I can go to these city meetings. So now here's what's happening, right? You have people saying, we don't know what's going on at the EDC. They're going to come, they're going to sit in our meetings, and then they also can't tell you everything we talk about. There's a net zero information gain in that, because they still can't tell you what's happening. And so a lot of those times is we're working NDA, we're under an NDA, and we're working a lot of real estate deals. So in this town, yes? Huh? NDA? What did I say? Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I was like, yes. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. So it's a legal agreement between two parties. I'm sorry? Yeah, we have to sign it usually. There's a mutual agreement. They sign it, we sign it. They can't talk about any deals that we're doing. So if we're offering them a deal, they can't go to Sulphur Springs and say, well, Mount Pleasant's doing this. What are you guys going to do for us? Because we get played against each other, right? These are just negotiations. Business is business. Sometimes it's just geographic centric. They have a reason to be there because of geography, logistics, capital, time. Sometimes it's about time, how much they can get something done. Do you have a business park that's ready to go? There's a lot of different reasons that people will come and look at the community. And to that point, I really wanted, because it came up before, managed and strategic and growth is important to us. There's a reason why there are not some businesses in the business park. We've turned a lot of them down. It just doesn't, we're the filter. And so from a risk assessment, we do that. We have a qualified board. I have an MBA. I'm a certified economic developer. I go everywhere. I can do anything from retail to industrial. And here I just focus on the industrial, but my heart is for all businesses. I know how economies work. And so, I'm sorry, this is why they never, I asked one question, one question, Carl. So why we're secretive? So it's for those reasons, from NDAs to protecting those clients, and sometimes there's, a lot of times, like for instance, Local Bounty, they're a publicly traded company. If any information gets out from their shelter, they have federal penalties if that gets out, and we tell somebody and it somehow leaks out of our office and their competitors know, and there's shareholder people who have privileged information prior to them actually making a move, expanding a plant, those are big deals from the SEC. That's just a publicly traded company that we have here that opened in June. Like one of the other reasons is for competitive advantages. You have companies that are looking at, they have competitors. I mean, our NGX company, they have competitors. They have natural competitors and they have near competitors who could quickly change plants and start doing certain things, go after contracts that they're going after. This is business. we don't want to violate those types of secrets. This is not to hurt our community in any fashion or any form. It's literally to protect the community. In the economic development world, there are countless stories of something showing up in the newspaper, of something showing up at a public meeting, where companies say, I can't believe you guys did that, we're not coming. Sayonara. And we're trying to protect that from happening in the community, of hurting a business that's actually making a multi-million-dollar investment here, because now one of their competitors in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Minnesota, is actually going, oh, they heard about it, and now they have a six-month jump on them. So, and sometimes that 6 month is critical as they start their new businesses or new operations. So for a lot of those reasons, we are, but on the same side of the coin, we also have, excuse me, we're very public. We don't manage our own funds. Where the city manages, they have a finance department. We don't cut checks out of our department. Everything has to be run through the city. They review it. We're required by law. We're a public entity with nonprofit powers. So we have to submit reports every year annually to the Comptroller's office. We have a ton of oversight, so all of our stuff, all of our checks, everything that we spend money on is at the city, it's available. So from that side, what we're spending money on, we account for and can explain, and if you have a question, we're happy to do that for you if you have a question about it. In the same way that the city does, they spend money on things, and we're happy to do that as well. But that's, I understand from a public perspective why it could seem secretive, but we're protecting a company, we're protecting somebody. One of these are your neighbors who are spending millions of dollars, usually, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or tens of thousands, and they want to protect their investment. Until time, it has to go to city council for approval, and then it's public. So it's never secret. It's just not public yet.
Thank you, Nathan. And I will say this, I've enjoyed being with y'all. Every time somebody calls me with a question, I go right down to that office, and I'm going to ask the questions, I'm going to find out the answers, and that's the way I operate. I'm going to go find out, and I've enjoyed it. But I will say, and it comes to what the council's problem is that at the end of the day, something's going to come to us. If we're not involved, and I've tried to be very involved and do the right thing, but if it comes to us, and if you're going to spend a couple of $1 million of taxpayer dollars, it comes right down to this group right here. And we're going to be the ones to catch it if we don't understand what's going on. So that's a part of the interaction, and I absolutely would support more board members, because I guarantee there's 150 people out there much better than I am. They won't give you as much trouble and come ask you so many questions. But I do agree there are a lot of people that, we need to look at, and I would like to see the board expanded. But at the end of the day, we're going to get held accountable for where the taxpayer dollars go. And as everybody knows, we went through some really bad times, and it is imperative that we have financial transparency, at least enough that if we're going to catch the heat for it, that we can support the decisions that we make, and that's why we're working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. We appreciate it.
My name's John Anderson, and so I'll start by saying thanks to Debbie for the prayer that started this deal, the meeting tonight. And so she talked about unity, and that's really, for me, that's what it comes down to. And so, and I'll just talk about the elephants in the room. There has been some tension, everybody knows, between City Council and EDC and Chamber of Commerce and all those places that we need unity at, and everybody knows that, and that's why everybody's here tonight, is because they're emotional because they love Mount Pleasant, and they feel a certain way, and it's dear to their hearts. And so, I could get up here and talk about a big project, but really, what I want to talk about is healing for our community. And so, as long as there's division, all we're doing is tearing ourselves down. If you're hurt, if you're upset, about somebody that you should be encouraging, I think that's what we need to be looking for, is healing. And that's the way we're going to find unity. Because, you know, we can't do anything about what happened yesterday, but we can change tomorrow. I think tonight is a great step toward making those bridges that need to be built to bend those relationships so we can work together. And, oh, man, for the first time I think anybody's ever said this to me, this week somebody told me, because of all the things that are going on in the news and because of all the bickering and all the division, they told me they didn't want their kid to be raised in Mount Pleasant. Broke my heart. And so, you know, I've spent tons of the resources that I have because I believe in Mount Pleasant and I see the opportunity. And I know y'all guys do too. You know, we can do great things. But, you know, I don't really know what happened to, if you don't have something good to say, shut your mouth. But that's how we were all raised. And somehow it became okay to be mad at the guy next to you, to talk the guy down. And so if everybody's at this level right here, and we're talking down this person and this person and this person, the level starts sinking. And that brings down the whole city. Whereas if we're building people up, that brings everybody up. And we have to understand that. And I think we have to get back to that a little more. Of if you don't have something good to say, shut your mouth. And so, I'm encouraged tonight by everybody coming together. I want to see the actions follow the message. And I want to see some healing. And, you know, we want to see growth. You know, we do want to bring housing and bring retail. And, you know, we talked about in the 70s and the 80s when everything was great and Luminate was here and all these things were happening. I think we have unlimited opportunity to go far above where we were at that point. You know, we really haven't had any shopping centers since that time. I think we're well past due, and so we're primed for that. I think, you know, we have opportunities. You know, if we could get short line rail here, some of those things that everybody's talked about, if we can make those things realities, those are the things that'll bring these big manufacturers. Those are the things that'll bring jobs, that'll build our community, that'll build jobs, that'll create money to be spent in our local economy that'll help us to grow and be successful. But mostly I just want to say thanks for the message. And, you know, if you got a problem with somebody, really, you know, publicly might not be the best place to air your issue. You know, go sit down with them, work it out, get to a point that everybody's on the same page, everybody can forgive one another, and everybody can move forward. I'm excited about a bright future. I'm excited to work on it with everybody in this room. I'm thankful for you. I consider all of you my friends, and I look forward to doing something amazing in Mount Pleasant with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What are you doing up there?
It's time for me to go to bed. I think it's exactly what the city council wanted to see happen tonight, is to start opening those doors that maybe have been opened in rooms where we aren't all here in it and here. And certainly appreciate every single comment. And I'm going to take a liberty for 1 second. Nikki? Nikki, if we kept doing the same thing with you for the things that you two want to do for downtown, would it work? If the city kept saying, nope, nope, can't do it that way, can't do it that way. I mean, we've had to turn to downtown and say, like, they wanted to do an evening event where they had wine for people. It's like, nope, can't, never have. And staff work together with them, and it's like, okay, we can take this step, and then we can take the next step. And so I don't know why that, there's still a lot we need to work on to continue improving that and opening that door farther and farther, but it's called open that mind. And if we would do things the same way we've done it in the past, we would just hold up our hand and say, no, just keep doing it the same way. So I just think that that's the mindset that has to be here. If it hasn't, if there's something that's not working, you better relook at it. And I think, I'm super proud of you two. I sat in their office, right? The only person in their office while they're still working, and they're giving their all. And it's such an inspiration. And I just pray that all of you, when we look at our budget, that's an investment, to invest in our downtown, our Main Street, that's an investment. Other sources are out there for other kinds of development, but that's our heart, and these people's hearts are in it. And so it's just huge. And so I would say, wherever you go with the conversation in regards to the EDC board, I think that there should be a question asked, and it's like, if something hasn't worked for a while, can we take a little different look at it? It might be, hey, this doesn't work either, or let's go back to the way it was. But if everything stays the same, hopefully you all and the board can figure that out. And I think the whole part of it's, and y'all don't we go into closed session because, as Nathan said, you do not want to infringe on a business's ability to compete and start and invest. If that information gets out, somebody else is going to scoop it and do it. Or there's just multiple ramifications for that. And so the same as when this city council goes into closed session to talk about other things, a personnel matter, it goes into closed session. It is illegal for this body to come out of their room and talk about it. It's illegal. It's against the law. And so we do have similar things when we go into closed sessions. But as Debbie said, and I just say one of the things that's sometimes difficult we have to figure out is she knows what the EDC is doing because she went in the boardroom, she went into the executive session, but she can't talk. And so she can't tell all these other members of the board what's going on because she was there. And it's like, well, as someone representing city councils and being there for them, it's like all the members need to understand that. So we've got to figure out a way that if members go, which is fine, but it can be connected. And so, for instance, if two members are on the board, they can come back into closed session at the city council level and talk about that. We can't have 5 council members at your EDC board without posting it as such. We have to do that. You can't have 3 council members there. So I think just saying to you is there's got to be somewhere in between here. You EDC folks, you are the most important incentive package and group in the city when it comes to bringing jobs here. You absolutely are. And so it just needs to work out. And for my downtowners, just need to keep investing because it's a beautiful downtown. Richard, Chamber of Commerce, and your allies, you guys are super quiet. Obviously, you get along with everybody. Congratulations. Will you do the next class for us all? So you can teach us all, the rest of us, how to really get along and make things shine. I'll just go back. God bless you all. You've got great things going for you, and all of you are super special people. I hope that these little bumps end up with a vibrant economic development, passionate growth, downtown, all businesses, economic development, new businesses, expansions, all the above. And it's one very solid group of people because when you're together, you're going to be far stronger. So I'm going to say goodnight, Mayor. Oh, you have to adjourn this, though. This is your meeting, so appreciate y'all coming, though. Mayor.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you all for coming. I mean, this has been very beneficial to all of us. Again, it starts with unity. We have to unify. All of us have to work together to get to the same destination that we want to get to, and that is to have a loving, successful city. That's what we want, right? Yes. And that's how we're going to get there, is being together. Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you.